factors which are to be considered when we are discussing the management of an avulsed tooth in dental clinic is whether the tooth which has been avulsed is the one which is having open apex or a closed apex. Second, the condition of the periodontal ligament cells, which would be ultimately determined by how the tooth was handled after avulsion, the extraoral dry time, and the storage medium. This is going to determine how the periodontal ligament cells are. So based on the condition of the periodontal ligament cells, we might have three clinical scenarios. The first one is that the PDL cells are mostly viable, which can happen when the tooth was immediately replanted after avulsion and was also handled carefully, that the root was not contaminated, was not touched. So in those cases, the periodontal ligament cells would be viable. So that is the extraoral dry time of this tooth has been minimal, and that is why the periodontal ligament cells are more likely viable. The second scenario would be the PDL cells are more likely viable, but they are compromised. This can happen when the tooth was, after avulsion, the tooth was kept in a medium like HBSS, milk, saline, saliva, or it had an extraoral dry time of less than 60 minutes, because that is a time period beyond which the periodontal ligament cells are not expected to survive. So the third scenario which we have is periodontal cells are non-viable. This would happen only when the extraoral dry time has been more than 60 minutes, regardless whether the tooth was kept dry or in a storage medium. This can also happen if the parents accidentally scraped off the root in trying to clean it. So asking in the history about how the root was handled and exactly how much time has elapsed since avulsion or since the trauma occurred is very important in deciding what the clinical scenario would be, because this is going to determine the outcome of avulsion. So based on these three clinical scenarios and whether the tooth is having an open apex or a closed apex, we'll be having 6 possible scenarios, 3 with closed apex and 3 with open apex. So we'll discuss the closed apex scenarios first, and then we'll move on to the scenario with open apex and how to manage them. So the first scenario which we have is the closed apex tooth which was replanted immediately at the site of accident, and now the parents have got the patient to the dental clinic. So what is to be done by the dentist in this case? You have to leave the tooth in place as it is replanted, and if it is in proper position, you leave it like that. Clean the area with 0.12 chlorhexidine. If there are any gingival lacerations, you need to suture them. Verify the position of the tooth by taking a radiograph, and if it is okay, you use a flexible splint for 1 to 2 weeks. The flexible splint which can be used is, you can use a stainless steel wire with composite resin. Initiate endodontic therapy at 7 to 10 days or before the removal of the splint. This has to be, and after this, placement of intracanal calcium hydroxide for 4 weeks followed by obturation. Why 7 to 10 days endodontic therapy has to be initiated is because if we delay endodontic therapy, this pulp which would undergo necrosis, and this would initiate inflammatory root resorption. So that's why the latest the endodontic therapy which has to be started is 7 to 10 days. And after removal of this, you have to place calcium hydroxide. This intracanal calcium hydroxide for 4 weeks is also again going to the same purpose. It is going to prevent any inflammatory root resorption. The systemic antibiotics like amoxicillin can be given to the patient, are to be prescribed depending on the patient's age and the body weight. To prescribe 0.12% chlorhexidine mouthwash to be used twice daily, and the instruction to the patient would be having soft diet, and also have to assess the tetanus need, and if it is needed, a tetanus dose, a booster dose is to be given to the patient. And the follow-up is at 3, 6, 9 and 12 months, and then afterwards yearly for at least 5 years. So this is the closed apex tooth with immediately replanted. In this case, we knew that the periodontal ligament cells are mostly viable, and in closed apex case, we do not expect the pulp to undergo revascularization. That is why the endodontic therapy was initiated 7 to 10 days. Now the second scenario would be where we assume that we find out that the extraoral dry time was less than 60 minutes, or the tooth was kept in a storage media, and the parent have got the child as well as the tooth into the dental clinic. What you have to do is you have to hold the tooth by the crown, avoid handling the root, clean it with saline, administer local anesthesia to the child, irrigate the socket with saline to remove the coagulum, and you have to check the socket because this socket with an avulsed tooth might be having a fracture of the alveolar wall. If the fracture of alveolar wall is there, you need to reposition the alveolar bones, because if we do not do that, replantation of that avulsed tooth would not be possible. So after repositioning, in case it is needed, of the alveolar walls, try to reposition the tooth with slight digital pressure only. Once you are able to replant the tooth, suture in the gingival lacerations, again verify the position with a radiograph. If it is okay, then you have to use a flexible splint for 1 to 2 weeks as earlier, and initiate endodontic therapy again at 7 to 10 days. This remains the same. This part of the treatment is going to stay the same. The only thing which has changed is that you have to do the replantation in this case. You have to clean the tooth with saline, and you have to administer local anesthesia in this case. So initiating endodontic therapy at 7 to 10 days or before the removal of the splint, placing intracanal calcium hydroxide again for 4 weeks, followed by obturation. Systemic antibiotics are to be prescribed, and a mouthwash to be used twice daily by the child. Soft diet and tetanus need to be evaluated. Again, the follow-up is 3, 6, 9, 12 months and yearly after that. Coming to the last scenario with closed apex, where the extraoral time, dry time of the tooth has been more than 60 minutes. In this case, we know that the periodontal ligament cells are necrotic, are not viable. So in that case, when the patient and the parent come to the dental clinic, what has to be done is you have to carefully remove the necrotic tissue, that is the necrotic periodontal ligament cells which are attached to the root surface, and you have to remove them gently with the help of a gauze. There are different methods which have been advocated, like soaking the tooth in citric acid and many other, but the International Association of Dental Traumatology suggests to remove the dead or the necrotic periodontal ligament cells with the help of a gauze, and do it gently. And after removing it, you have to place the tooth in 2% sodium fluoride for 20 minutes. This is done with the aim to delay the replacement resorption, which is inevitable in this case. Why? Because the periodontal ligament cells are necrotic, they are dead. So what is going to happen in this case when you replant is the cementum is going to be in direct contact with the bone, and because of this, there is going to be replacement resorption of the tooth. That is, the root would be resorbed and replaced by bone. So we want to delay this replacement resorption of the tooth, and that is why we are soaking the tooth in 2% sodium fluoride for 20 minutes. Studies have shown that incorporating or soaking a tooth in 2% sodium fluoride incorporates fluoride ion in the cementum, which then delay the replacement resorption, and that is what is the aim in this particular scenario. So after soaking the tooth in 20% sodium fluoride for 20 minutes, we've already administered local anesthesia to the child, irrigated the socket with saline, removed the coagulum, check the socket again for the alveolar bone fracture, socket wall fracture. If that is there, you have to reposition it. Then this particular tooth, which is a closed apex tooth and has extraoral dry time of more than 60 minutes, in this particular case, the endodontic treatment can be carried out extraorally, or it can be done later also. The choice is the dentist's choice, whether he feels that he wants to perform the endodontic treatment extraorally or wants to do it at a later date. But intracanal calcium hydroxide to be placed for 4 weeks, followed by obturation after 4 weeks. This is again done with the same intention to delay the or prevent the inflammatory root resorption, and also delay the replacement resorption. Then replant the tooth with slight digital pressure. These points may stay the same, suturing the gingival laceration, verifying the position, and splinting for 2 weeks. Then starting systemic antibiotics, advising the patient to use 0.12 chlorhexidine mouthwash. A soft diet and a tetanus need is to be evaluated. Follow up again at 3, 6, 9, and 12 months, and yearly after that for 5 years. So this completes the closed apex with 3 different scenarios. We'll come to the open apex with 3 different scenarios again, depending upon the viability of the periodontal ligament cells. So now this is an open apex tooth. So open apex tooth, by definition, if it is having an apex more than 1 millimeter, it is considered as a tooth with open apex. So in this case, the first scenario would be that the tooth was replanted immediately at the site of accident. So in this case, what has to be done again, leave the tooth in place, clean the area with saline or maybe 0.12% chlorhexidine, suture any gingival laceration, verify the position with radiographs and flexible splint for 1 to 2 weeks. Then start systemic antibiotics and advise again 0.12 chlorhexidine mouthwash, soft diet and tetanus need is to be evaluated. So what changes in an open apex from a closed apex is that with the open apex, there is a possibility of revascularization in this particular tooth. So we do not initiate endodontic therapy immediately. We wait for this particular tooth and give it a chance to revascularize automatically. If it revascularizes, then no endodontic therapy further would be required. So in case it does not happen and in a waiting period, when after 2 to 3 weeks of careful observation, if we find any signs of pulp necrosis, which can be the change in the color of the tooth, or maybe on the radiograph we see a beginning of the resorption of the root or some periapical changes, then you have to initiate endodontic and perform an appropriate endodontic therapy. And again, the follow-up of this particular case would be for 3, 6, 9 and 12 months and yearly after that. Now, open apex in which the storage in physiologic media or dry time was less than 60 minutes. In this particular case, we know that the periodontal ligament cells are still viable, but they were compromised. So in this particular case, what has to be done is the tooth is to be again held by crown and avoid touching the root. Clean with the saline in case there are contamination. Soak this tooth in doxycycline. Why in doxycycline? Studies have shown that when you soak a open apex tooth which has been avulsed in doxycycline solution, this doxycycline solution increases the chances of revascularization. So that is why it is recommended to soak the tooth in doxycycline solution. Then administer local anesthesia, irrigate the socket with saline, remove the coagulum, check the socket for fractures, reposition if needed, then replant the tooth with slight digital pressure and suture any gingival laceration. Again, verifying the position with the radiographs and flexible splinting for 1 to 2 weeks is needed. And again, in this case also, there is a possibility of revascularization and we have to wait for it, and if it does not happen and pulp necrosis occurs, then again initiate an appropriate endodontic therapy, which can be apexification or maybe regenerative endodontics at a later date. And again, the follow-up is same as the scenario 1. Open apex with extraoral dry time of more than 60 minutes. Now in this case, we know that the periodontal ligament cells are no longer viable. They've already dead and necrosed. So the aim is to remove this necrotic tissue. Again, it is to be removed gently with a gauze. And once the necrotic tissue has been removed, soak the tooth in 2% sodium fluoride for 20 minutes. This is again with the aim of delaying the replacement, resorption and ankylosis. Then administer local anesthesia, again irrigating the socket with saline, removing the coagulum, checking the alveolar socket walls for fracture, repositioning them if needed, replanting the tooth with slight digital pressure, and suturing any gingival lacerations. This point of suturing any gingival laceration is very important because if there is gingival laceration, this gingiva or the gingival, it can act as a pathway through which microorganisms can reach the periodontal ligament and again cause infection there. So that is why it is very important and imperative to suture any gingival lacerations. Verify the position and splint it for again 1 to 2 weeks. And systemic antibiotics are to be started, and mouthwash, chlorhexidine, that is 0.12 twice daily. Soft diet and tetanus need is to be evaluated. The splinting time for avulsed tooth is only a maximum is 2 weeks. But if along with the tooth avulsion we have alveolar fracture also, then the splinting time might be increased to 4 weeks. Again, in this case, in an open apex tooth with extraoral dry time more than 60 minutes, the current International Association of Dental Traumatology guidelines, they still recommend that you need to wait for possible revascularization. Earlier guidelines used to say that possible revascularization is not possible if the extraoral dry time is more than 60 minutes. But the current guidelines, the year 2020, they say that revascularization is still possible and endodontic therapy should not be initiated immediately. But we have to wait for and confirm for signs of pulp necrosis and only then initiate endodontic therapy. And again, the follow-up period is for 3, 6, 9 and 12 months, and then yearly afterwards for 5 years. So that completes the open apex with 3 different scenarios. These are the pictures of an avulsed one which was had avulsed, and the patient came to the clinic, came to the hospital within 20-30 minutes, and it was replanted and splinted. Now, once we have done the replantation, what are the possible outcomes? What can happen to this avulsed tooth which was replanted? Based on the periodontal ligament viability, or whether it is an open apex or closed apex, different outcomes which can be possible. So the most favorable outcome when it is an open apex case can be that the tooth is asymptomatic, it has normal physiologic mobility, the percussion sound is also normal, and the radiographic evidence is there of continued or maybe arrested root development, and the pulp space obliteration is expected because that is a healing mechanism in case of an open apex which has been tooth which has been replanted back. So that is a favorable outcome. Favorable outcome in a closed apex would be that tooth is asymptomatic, is having normal physiologic mobility, and the percussion sound is also normal, is not having any metallic percussion sound. There is no radiographic evidence of inflammatory root resorption or periradicular osteitis or periapical infection developing. So unfavorable outcome would be in an open apex, it might happen that the tooth is symptomatic, that is tender, it is mobile, or it is having dull or metallic percussion sound. It would be having a dull sound when there is inflammatory root resorption. It would have a metallic percussion sound when the tooth has undergone replacement resorption and there is ankylosis. So the radiograph would be telling us about whether it is inflammatory root resorption leading to a tooth loss, or maybe it is replacement resorption which is leading to ankylosis. So the unfavorable outcome for closed apex is also similar. It does not change whether it is open or closed apex. The unfavorable outcome would be same. Might lead to loss of the tooth or might lead to replacement resorption leading to ankylosis. So replacement resorption is something which happens most commonly when the periodontal ligament cells are died, or maybe the tooth was not handled properly, maybe the parents scraped off the periodontal ligament cells. In those cases, the possibility of replacement resorption, that is the tooth being replaced by bone, is high and leads to ankylosis. With the and the resorption, which is inflammatory leading to resorption of the root, that happens when the pulp undergoes necrosis and it was not removed in a timely manner, which leads to developing a periapical infection and causes inflammatory root resorption. So this is replacement resorption, and explained with the help of radiographs and a schematic diagram. Here you see that the root has been replaced, and it has been replaced by the bone, and the crown portion is ankylosed to the bone. So this is replacement resorption and ankylosis. And this is inflammatory root resorption. So inflammatory root resorption, what it happens is, you can see at 1 week there is development of some periapical radiolucency, which increases very rapidly, and the complete root gets resorbed, leading to the tooth loss. So this is the worst outcome which we can have in an avulsed tooth. Ankylosis, even though it is not a favorable outcome, but it would still buy you some time before further treatment can be planned out. So inflammatory root resorption leads to the loss of a tooth within a month or 3 months maximum.